am Vickie Perez-Segovia.
And I'm Jessica Bishop.
And you're listening to Through Dangers Untold, a monthly art podcast about traversing the precarious gap between art school and a professional, sustainable art career. And what are we working on this week? Jess?
I just finished a painting, so that's pretty cool.
Yay!
Mm-hmm.
Yay.
So pretty.
I also have my art up in a show at Ghost Gallery in Seattle this week. So that's what's going on.
Woohoo.
So cool. I want to say that I did a little happy dance for you.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate it.
I'm glad you didn't see it. So I've been working on a couple of things. I'm working on a private commission for is a surprise for someone else, so I can't say too much. And then I am working on another, I guess, relatively secret piece because I'm not sure how public I can make that yet. But it's going to be in a official publication.
Ooh,
Exciting.
Cool.
Trying to keep up with my Patreon, which has been
Oh.
It's just been.
Okay.
It's just been. But I guess in terms of stuff that I can talk about that is solely for myself, I've been drawing my tabletop role-playing characters a lot recently, so that's fun.
Nice.
That is fun.
And then...
Do you use them? Like the pictures? Like when you play the game?
Not really when I play. It's more just so I have art of my character.
Okay, but you can print them
How
out
pretty my character is.
and make them a stand-up. And then bring them. That's what I would do.
Have this big stand-up.
No, like a little one. Like it was a board game piece. Like
now I want to make big ones.
That would be amazing.
Okay, or you can do a big one.
You're like, this is my character. I have entered the field.
Yeah, Sonnett, it's your turn.
Oh, do we have to? Okay.
Yes. What have you been working on?
It's honestly,
what have you been doing?
Oh, it's honestly been super busy this month, and I haven't gotten a lot of art time in today, which I'm super bummed about. I do art practices every day during the week, so I'm still doing that. I'm still slowly painting on my painting, but yeah, it's been kind of frustrating, honestly. So yeah, that's where I'm at.
Well, it's good that you still set aside time for practice and stuff.
Yeah.
Because necessary, I think, for kind of not really if you're trying to build a new skill, but even just maintaining your skill, just kind of
yes,
even regular. The people do. It's you start getting your skill starts to fade.
Yeah.
I was gonna say, did you want to share your Sonnett tips for keeping up with stuff? Even though when you're super busy.
Be super angry about the fact that you don't have art time and then rage draw on the train?
Okay. Well, that's the tip.
Sonnett's
rage draw on the train.
I'm like,
Sonnett's tip.
What about the Santa train? You know the
okay.
Santa car?
That would be super relaxing and delightful.
To be on the Santa car?
Yeah, I would like that.
I've never been on it.
You haven't?
For anyone who doesn't know, who's listening, there's a Santa train in Chicago.
It's delightful.
That's decorated. Yeah.
It has
lights.
I
never saw it when I lived there, so...
It's wonderful. Vickie, have you been on the train?
I haven't been on it. I would see it passing by every now and then, but
that was the
I've
worst
never
when you
actually
saw
caught
it.
the train.
Yeah.
like see it and be like, no.
Like it's so far away.
Like, dang it.
Then now I drive everywhere, so I forgot that it existed.
It has disappeared in your mind.
Yeah, like I like blocked the CTA out of my memory since I started driving.
Understandable. Whew, it's brutal out there, guys.
Guys, I look back on it with fond memories. Like when I go to other places, like they only have like a bus system here, and I'm scared of buses.
Yeah.
Because they're not on rails. Like they can go anywhere they want. Unlike the train. So it's like a weird thing.
Interesting.
But then like in San Francisco, like when I've been on that one, I'm like, why is this not like, why is it kind of clean? Where's the dirt? Where's that 2 a.m. vomit?
Oof, no thanks. No.
Okay, yeah, but anyway, the rage drawing on the train.
Yes,
I think rage helps a lot.
Being fueled by rage.
Does it?
I think
does it really?
Does a lot.
Also just like Vickie said, I want to maintain, I want to be able to continue to have my skills, so. And I have an hour both ways on the train, where I'm just sitting there, so it is harder, I'm finding, on the rush hour.
Yeah.
You have no room.
It's
to move your arm.
Exactly. Like when I used to do it going to Columbia, I was at times when it was easier, so it was I could get a seat where my arm had some movement. But man, when it's 9 to 5, oh man, it's brutal. And people are like, I'm gonna die for the seat, I'm gonna sit down, I've got the seat, like it's super battle train time.
It really is.
But regardless, I'm still practicing in the morning, so yes, that is something.
Yeah, so like what do you just sketch in your sketchbook then?
Yeah, and I've been pretty rigorous about setting myself a goal. I'll set myself usually a monthly goal. When I was here at home doing it, I had 3 different things I was practicing. Usually one anatomy, usually one other thing like perspective or animals or flowers or whatever backgrounds. And then I would do color. And so, but with less time, I'm finding I have to narrow it down. So for a while I was studying some architecture, historical architecture and perspective. And then I've been doing some master studies, at least starting to do value and color thumbnails. So that's what I'm working on.
Are you bringing paints on the train?
Yeah, I am.
I am not surprised by that at all.
I have a little Altoid tin.
You had perfect notebooks in school when you took notes, didn't you?
Oh, they weren't perfect. They were kind of scribbly.
That's a yes, Jess.
I know.
Fine. Whatever. But it's also a weapon, you see. When you have a loaded paintbrush and some person comes with their stupid backpack or their bag and they try to hit you in the face with it, you have a paintbrush. And then they're going to be really mad.
Oh, yeah. But
So
once they notice, it'll be too late.
Exactly.
They can't, get to you anymore.
Exactly.
Perfect.
That's how
It's
it works.
hilarious.
These are my tips of
Goodbye,
survival.
product.
Right? Don't hit me in the face.
Man, that happened to me once, though. I had this, beautiful purse, and I dropped it in paint.
Oh, no.
It's my own fault. I got most of it off. Anyway.
That's super sad.
I still have the purse. It's fine.
Oh, good.
It just has a stain on it.
Oh, good.
But I didn't want to get rid of it.
I mean, that's sad. Now it's artistic.
Sure.
Oh. Okay, well, enough of that and my moaning about the train. I want to hear about. I want to hear about your lives. About your art for 2018. This is our I guess I should say this is our year-end wrap-up. We did this last year, And we talked about goals and art and all that. And so we're doing that again this year to talk about those same kinds of things and what we want to do next year. And yeah, how did 2018 go?
Your goal was?
Yeah.
I don't remember what my goal was. I should probably go back and listen.
Oh, I can't do that. I can't go back and listen to these.
Oh, really? They're kind of good. I mean, they're actually really good.
Someone wrote an article about me in the newspaper once, and I still haven't read it.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I just let everyone else read it.
Yeah.
And then they're like, oh, it was nice. I was like, cool. That's all I need to know.
I think I am too self-absorbed and self-critical to like not read stuff about me and listen to it.
Mm-hmm.
That's why go back because I'm just gonna like be mean to myself.
Yeah, I do too. Well, then there you go. You know that about yourself then.
Yep.
That's all right.
But yeah, so I don't remember my goal. You said you remembered yours, Sonnett?
Of course I do.
Alright, well, would you like to refresh our memories?
No, I'm just going to complain more. I want you guys to go.
Okay. Vickie?
Okay. So, I don't remember what my goal was from last year. I'm pretty sure, as per my brand, I left it vague so that it was easy to achieve.
That's not a bad thing. That's actually good goal setting.
It's generally how I try to set goals.
Yeah.
Any types of intentions, just keep it vague and it'll be super easy.
Nice.
Okay, so I guess talk about in terms of like 18 and like stuff that I learned about myself and my process. The biggest thing that I learned was definitely like giving myself a break.
Mm-hmm.
And not forcing myself to constantly make art, because that was one of the biggest things that I definitely had in my head since graduating school, because there was that huge fear of just like, oh my god, I'm never going to find a career in art. And I felt pressured to like apply for art jobs and everything, and I was having a really hard time what kind of, I guess, /worker I am.
Mm-hmm.
And like at this point in my life, it's like I know like I'm not great at working for other people.
Mm-hmm.
Because if I'm like working by someone else's standard, like I hold that person to really high standards. And that's partly why like I'm pretty happy at my current job, because like it has like high standards and is also like super respectful with of like the employees and everything, and like cares a lot about like what their business is and what they do. And so that's just like a generally good example for me to sort of follow. Like as we were kind of talking recording, it's like when I was in school, like I always had like really high standards for teachers and had really high expectations, and it's just like if they didn't meet expectations, I was just kind of like whatever about it. And it's the same for like the people that I work for. And it's through that kind of understanding of myself that like I know I want to work for myself, which was kind of something that I've always known, that I would always tell people like I just wanting to do freelance and stuff. But even more so than that, like there's always that goal for me of like I want to be able to like run like a comic book / game shop, and I want to be able to like start a comic book publisher. And this year was just kind of like another step in that journey towards sort of like self-driven work. And one of the biggest things, I guess, that I'm proud of that I finally started getting around to is like my Patreon. A really big hassle for me because I had been trying to get on top of that for like a couple of years now, and I was having a hard time trying to figure out is it and everything. But I think I'm finally at a place where like it's manageable for me. Like it's still difficult, but it's much more manageable than I was making it before.
Nice.
But the other point, so I stopped going off in some weird tangent. The original point that I wanted to get to is just kind of like giving myself a break, and that just has to do a lot with like understanding my own pacing.
Oh yeah.
During Inktober, I had like really burnt myself out just in the first few days, and really realized that I could give myself a break. And so it was nice to like stop like I think 4 or 5 days and just be like, I'm happy with the work that I made, but I don't need to continue because I'm tired and I need to take care of myself.
Nice.
Yeah, I think that was like one of the most important things that I learned this year.
That's awesome. That self-awareness doesn't
That
come easy. It always takes time for all of us, I think. And it sounds like it really informed your decisions moving from that point. Is that true? Oh, did we lose Vickie? Hello? 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 Oh, I think we lost Vickie
Okay.
momentarily.
I guess I can talk.
Yeah, do you want to go ahead and I'll see if I can contact Vickie.
Man, okay, well, I don't remember my goal. But I can talk about like what I did end up doing, and I guess that was basically that I wanted to try experimenting with more things than just digital art.
Oh, nice.
Because back when, like, before college, I did a lot of stuff that wasn't digital, and it just got like really easy in college just to do digital, right?
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, because it doesn't take up any space, and I can do it in my room.
Mm-hmm.
And I also, you know, and it's like back when I lived at my parents and I like was back in my high school and stuff, there was just so much more like space and resources. So I did oil painting and everything I could get my hands on. And I started to miss it like really bad. So I went back to try to do some pencil work this year.
Oh,
and
nice.
I don't know how successful it was, but I did it. And like, so like the first few months of the year, and even until like October, like I was still doing the pencil work. And I don't know. I feel like I'm going to slow it down again. Just because like I like doing it, but it's not like the final result just doesn't make me that happy. But so I think like my next goal eventually, when like I have the room, like the physical room, I want to do oil painting again.
That makes sense.
That's just one of those things that's like I don't like the idea of keeping it in my like 1-bedroom apartment.
Yeah, you need storage space and
yeah, with my dog, he's gonna go lick the
oh yeah, that would be bad. Ooh,
and it's just like one of those things you think about, like especially like with the most artists are kind of living like in small spaces, and then it's expensive to like, because I've looked into getting a like a studio.
Mm-hmm.
Like you can, because there's so many here where you could do those rentals, but I'm like, it's that kind of catch-22 thing again, where I feel like I should be making money with my art to do that, but then I can't make my art without doing that.
Yes, that makes total sense. Yeah.
So, which is why I'm kind of like, I'll just, you know what, just like stick with what, like, is good for me now. And, you know, I'll figure it out.
Yeah. Yeah, there's always time in the future.
Because I enjoy, like, the digital, and I think, like, a lot of the reasons that I wanted to try to get back into more traditional stuff is because, like, I would read so much from some of my favorite artists about how, like, if it's like digital isn't the same, you know?
Interesting.
Like how it's less than.
Yeah. Right.
And like that's like a hard one for me because I'm like, I kind of get it. Like there's a lot of shortcuts I can take with the digital, and so like I felt like, well, maybe I need to like go and do this and do everything traditional to be a real artist. And now I'm just kind of like, I should just stop.
Yeah, no, it's just another tool. It's just another tool.
And I mean, that could probably be an interesting topic for at some point, talking about materials. But yeah, like, and I don't think like I'm bad with other materials. It's just like I've gotten so used to doing digital from, you know, being in that college setting.
Mm-hmm.
And like I already have all the materials.
Right.
Like there's no material cost.
Right. Exactly. And the skill set you have with that specific tool is already there. So, yeah. That
was definitely something that I was trying to work through. And also, like, I did a lot of stuff trying to, like, beyond doing experiments with materials, kind of doing experiments with different topics and types of art as well. And, like, still trying to figure out, like, how do I feel about, you know, the different kinds of industries. And I think, like, I don't really have any, like, real resolution to that. I think I'm just going to have to keep learning about that one. Like, because some days I wake up and I'm like, I should make some game art. And then I go to sleep and I'm like, that was stupid. So it's just something that, like, I don't know. I guess my advice would be to just feel like, make what you feel like that day. And eventually you're going to make something that you really like. And then you can go from there. Like, I think my last painting was pretty good. And I think I can build off that.
Yeah.
Like, I've been really into the slugs this year.
They're so cool.
I've done a lot of slugs. Like, in the past, like, year and 1 month or so. It's been pretty sluggy.
It's been slug intensive. It's good though. They're like, so cool though. I like them.
They are, and I think it's just one of those things that's like, you know, if you like something, just keep doing it.
Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah, and it's yeah. All right, I'm done for now. Because I'm just gonna keep saying yeah. While I quietly reflect.
Oh, Vickie, are you back?
So.
Yay. Excellent.
Okay. Sorry that I had cut out.
No worries.
It's okay. Save me from myself. Go back to
talking. I cut out because I was like talking for a long time, and then I saw your guys' little things just like glowing on Discord, and I was just like, oh no, wait, are they talking? And I was just like, did I cut out?
Oh no. Yeah, totally.
I don't know what even went through.
I think it was
if anything.
It was right after you talked about slowing down and understanding your own pacing, and that it was worth it to take a break with Inktober. Yeah.
Yes. Cool. Okay.
Indeed.
So what happened when I was speaking, and I don't know how much of this got in, essentially, I started with that point, I kind of went off on a tangent, and then I circled back and reiterated that point again, and I don't know which time it got cut out.
Oh, no.
Probably the last time.
So, probably most of it might have made it in. But I guess, just to reiterate...
Yes, reiterate, please.
It's okay to, like, not finish a giant project that, you know, is, like, your own deadline that you're just trying to do for yourself. Again, especially with things like Inktober, the exercises, and just, like, any other type of exercise that we do, it's like, you don't have to do it all the time. You have to beat yourself up if it's not coming out the way you want. I think that was like the biggest thing that I was able to learn this year.
Yeah.
That's a good lesson.
Yeah, and I think for next year, my biggest thing that I want to do is just kind of get more organized, and I'm getting a very strong feeling that I probably said the same thing last year.
There are some things that just are multiple year kind of projects, you know?
Yeah. Like, just trying to be organized as a person, because being organized is important to me.
What is that laugh? What does it mean?
It's just, I don't know, I guess the irony of it, of like how important I think it is to like be organized in, you know, any kind of environment. I feel like I just get it.
Interesting.
Yeah. But, you know, it's a goal, and I'm going to try to do better. And I think for me, it's going to be, you know, like being more committed to my Patreon, treating it with sort of like respect that I want mine to be treated with.
Nice.
I think it's one of those things where it's like you kind of like are the one that's going to decide the value of your work, and it's like you need to show that to people.
That is so true. That's a tough one.
It's hard to do. I think it's definitely important. Something I'll try to do. Yeah. I'm sorry I missed so much of the conversation.
I know. Me too. But those are good points, though. Those are really good points.
Yeah, it's hard, like, especially when you're trying to present yourself. Like, if you can't present yourself well, then people literally shut down and they'll stop listening to you.
Yeah.
Instinctually.
Right. That confidence thing. Ugh.
Yes.
It's so hard.
It is very, very tough.
Especially since I think a lot of us were kind of raised to be very humble.
Yes.
Yeah, so like, you know, it was always kind of like, don't be boastful, be quiet. Like, and I don't think we were like raised that way to be malicious, of course, but I think that's something that comes back later, and it's like, well, how do I stand up for myself?
Right.
And say that, like, I am good at this.
Right.
When you were taught that it's bad to be that way. So it's a hard little thing to get over.
Yeah, and like, there's so many aspects of that ends up getting tied to people's identity, and that's where sort of like a lot of that sort of like intersectional like feminism comes in. It's like people who are raised female, you know, are told to be a certain way, kind of always coming back to one of the biggest things, the biggest reasons we wanted to start the show was, you know, it's like the fact that like we had so many like female identifying classmates does seem to be very male dominated, and like the majority of our professors were male.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just like being so aware of that disconnect.
Oh yeah.
Something that can kind of like fuel that fire of just like, I don't want to let that happen to me, but you know, in your worst moments it can be demoralizing because you're just like, how far am I actually going to get?
Right. And how can I do these things that I don't know how to do to get me there if I can? You know?
Like it's hard to find those sort of like mentors that like been through what you've been through,
Mm-hmm.
because they're like so far and few in between, and then it's like, and talk to our people that don't necessarily identify with your struggle.
Right.
Right. I felt that a lot, like, in school. Just, like, some of the advice, like, no matter how well-intentioned, it didn't quite line up with what you were trying to do.
Right. Even just...
like...
Oh, go ahead. No, go ahead.
No, like, I was just gonna say, even when it's kind of more like I wanted to do this kind of art, but they were gearing it towards, like, the majority who wanted to do another kind of art, and there was always, like, it's so hard in a school setting to have mentors for every type of artist, and it's hard to find. It really is. So, yeah.
I was gonna say, even looping back to the confidence thing, that just noticing that most of the girls wouldn't say anything about for critiques.
Yeah.
Like a lot of dudes would be pretty happy to talk up, but
Yeah.
because of the way that a lot of women, not every woman, but a lot of women are just told to be quiet, not speak up. And I think that was evident in most of my classes.
Mm-hmm.
I think as we got into later classes and we got more tired, I think more of us were like, whatever, this is the critique here, let's do it.
Yeah.
I think also, like, another thing was we got more used to each other.
Yeah.
Like, and we kind of knew what to expect from each person.
Yeah.
And like, I think once you, like, after a few weeks in class and you start to get to know people and get comfortable, then you're kind of like, well, I mean, how do I say this nicely? Like, this person I obviously don't need to listen to. Or, like,
Right.
you know, like, we just, like, even if it's just, like, one of those things where it's, like, you obviously have differing, just, like, artistic opinions. And that's, like, totally chill.
Yeah. That's in any critique space, you kind of learn to read that, I think. But
you do, but, like, I also had such a hard time talking in critiques. I would have critiques in my head.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I would look up at the work and then I would critique it in my head and have a conversation in my head, but then be like, right, I didn't say any of that.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. I struggled with that, too.
That's, like, a topic for another time of how to make critiques better.
Oh,
I also think about that.
That's one I am super passionate about, too.
Okay. We'll write it down.
Okay.
That's a good one.
Yeah, that is a good one. I also wanted to circle back to you, Vickie, too, though, because you are so right. Like, finding mentors, I think it's super hard. I think even outside of school, I think you're absolutely right that finding people that can create a network or support group or some sort of way to lift each other up. I think when you're in any of the oppressed groups, I think it's just super hard.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah, because
like that's what I was hearing you say, and I agree. I've seen that happen. Sorry, go. You talk.
So Yeah, like just to, I guess, build on that, there's definitely it's hard to find folks that are gonna kind of like have a similar experience to you, be like, hey, this is where I'm at, what did you do?
Mm-hmm.
And like it could be, to a degree where it's like a little too much to ask, because everyone's like unique or whatever. Also just kind of like certain groups where you're like, yeah, like this is what I'm doing. And I think so far, like when I've check out like other groups of artists who are like, say for example, who are just like other people of color,
Mm-hmm.
there's a lot of the sort of like I've seen them do that's like beyond that sort of like, oh, it's like you got to work twice as hard to, get just as far, and like you got to do all these other things just to be able to get any level of recognition. But on top of that, there's a lot of emotional labor that people who are in marginalized groups have to do in their professional industries, because it's like it's not just extra that you're doing, but it's extra like mental and emotional work of just like navigating through other people just not understanding your experience, and like behaving in ignorant ways that like they don't even realize that they're doing. And there's a lot of that sort of like, okay, I realize you're doing this out of ignorance, not out of malice, but it's like, how am I supposed to respond to this in a way that isn't gonna, that's usually ends up just happening,
Right.
You're a marginalized person and you realize that something is happening to you, it's like the moment I speak up, like this is just going to fall on me, and that's all that's going to happen is that I'm hurt by it.
Right.
Yep. Always the fear. I think seeing those experiences from other people that like I, do look up to, it's like they're either people that I feel me personally might be like too far out of my reach, or there's definitely a lot of anxiety of just like, is this what I'm going to have to go through?
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah.
There's part of me that's like, well, maybe I can just bypass it by just doing everything myself.
Mm-hmm. The same exact way.
Yep, same. I mean, not totally the same, but partially the same.
Yeah, like, it's not the healthiest solution to just don't do everything.
I mean, yeah.
That's kind of, I think, like a trap that a lot of people fall into, because it's like, I can't trust other people, to work with me.
Yeah, I feel that way.
I do too.
Yeah.
And like I think like it's a toss up, because it's like if you don't want to like work and rely on other people, it's probably going to take longer. And that's my opinion.
Yeah.
Because that's how I'm feeling about it. I'm like, well, this is going to take longer, but if I just keep going,
right.
like maybe it'll work out. But it's definitely one of those things. It's kind of like a double-edged sword.
Yeah.
One of the things that it's like a conversation that I've been having with some peers, like mostly like female and non-binary identifying creators, like talking about the importance of collaboration and like how there's like so much of like mentalities of like we have to like be competitive and do everything ourselves so that people know that we're competent.
Yes.
It's like, that's so exhausting.
It is.
Not really how things work.
Yeah.
Because it's like, when you think of like well-produced media that you consume, that you like, it's not a person behind it.
Right.
Usually a team. And it's extremely hard content by yourself, because not everyone can do everything perfectly. You're a person that might have a lot of skills, but I don't think any one person can do it all, you know?
Right.
It's hard to make something that is good and relates to a lot of people when you just do it by yourself.
Right.
Like, you need that balance of other minds.
Exactly. And like, especially in popular media, you know, and things like comic books, films, games, it's like, are all mediums that are so heavily based in like narratives. Like, if you just have one type of person telling, these stories aren't going to change and they're not going to be interesting to everyone. That's
Right.
why like backlash and like, to state the obvious, like, so much of the feminist movement, you know, is about representation, because, you know, it's like, groups aren't being represented in the creative process.
Right.
Of things. And it's just like, yeah, we, like, if you want to have more variety and more interesting stories, have more variety in the people that are creating them.
Yes.
And like, it's a fairly simple solution that a lot of, I guess what's the right phrase, corporate media is really stubborn about acknowledging, because it's, quote, profitable.
Right.
Which
like,
isn't even true.
Right.
Yeah, corporations have a hard time deviating when, like, something, because it's the mentality of, well, this already makes money, so why would we risk it on something else?
Right.
And they just, yeah. But, like, I think it's kind of been proven that, like, the people, consumers, want different stuff.
Yeah. It's like, that's what happens when you have more than one type of consumer.
Yeah. It always seems like throwing away money to me, because I'm like, look at all these consumers out here. Don't you like money? Like, come on. They want to give you money.
Yeah. I mean, and of course that obviously goes into a much deeper, scary conversation about society as a whole. But
right? Like, yeah, totally. Definitely.
But yeah, that kind of just scratches the surface.
Indeed. Indeed. Yeah.
Right. So,
Yes.
I know I missed a lot of conversation, but Jess was talking when I came
talk.
back in. Yeah, so I want to hear from you, Sonnett.
It's your turn.
Notice I've been procrastinating. Oh boy, so many.
You learned this year.
Oh man.
About yourself, even.
Oh, so many things. So, okay, so this year, all right. So I remember my goals. My goals were to finish Quaint Spirits.
Did you write them down?
No, I have them in my head because I beat myself up with them all the time. So, all right. So my goal was to finish Quaint Spirits, which I did. I did.
Yeah.
I did finish that. Woo! Woohoo!
It is amazing.
So I did finish that.
That was a ton of work.
It was a lot of work, and I finished it. It was a multi-year project, and I learned a ton, and I finished that up in the springtime. So that was really cool. And then I jumped into doing some monthly prompts, which was really fun. I did a little mermaid painting, which was great to just do a whatever painting, you know, like just be like, oh, I'm gonna paint a mermaid, and not have a big agenda. And I drew a really complicated drawing, which is the painting I'm still working on for June Faye and Unicorn.
Oh, it looks so good.
Oof. Whew. It's been a tough one, guys.
Yes.
I really liked the drawing. How about let's say that I loved the drawing of this painting. I'm working through this painting now, and it's fighting me. Let's see. And then I did the Smoggist, which I loved. I had a ton of fun. It was fun to plan out 4 paintings and just get those done. So that was awesome. And then, so my other goals were, I think the big ones were to do a gallery show with Jess, and we didn't. we talked about it. We're like, this is expensive, and then we decided to table it for another year. And
yeah, that's fair.
Yeah. And then my other goal besides that was to start a drink and draw, and I also did not do that.
That is okay. Those are so hard to organize.
Yeah. Well, I started to think about it and started to look at venues and kind of start to get an idea of what I wanted to do with that. And I still may do that. But this year,
awesome.
I know, right? Yeah. This year was a big year for me because it was a year where I really had to stop. Because I had been going constantly since school. I did 5 years in school. I worked part-time the whole time and pushed myself to the limit because I'm a perfectionist. And then after school, I was so stressed about, like you were talking about, Vickie, just so stressed about trying to make money, trying to make a living, trying to make sure I was in art. I feel a lot of pressure because I'm older. I feel like I have a lot of catching up to do. So I put a lot of pressure on myself. And so I went. So it's, I think, 3 years that I've been out of school this December. Or 3 years was my last semester. And I just hadn't stopped since that point.
Yeah.
And I basically I was forced to in basically April because of health issues and mental health issues, and I had to take care of it. It just got to a point where I just had to stop. I had to take care of it, or else nothing else would work. And it was scary. I'm scared talking about it now, and it was very, very hard to do because it's hard to put aside everything you want to do and all your plans, and if you're ambitious and you want to go for it and work really hard, it's very difficult to say no, I have to do other things right now. So it's been very, very hard. But with that, I also had to go back to doing corporate work, temping, and that's also been very hard.
Yeah.
Oh, it's been hard, but it's also been good because besides these things, I've been able to do things that I haven't done in years, like camping. I went camping for the first time with David, and it was my husband, and I was like, this is amazing, and I love it, and we were totally newbies at it, but it was wonderful to get out in nature and to refill, you know, and like relax and actually enjoy life. Like, I hadn't done that in so long. I went to a concert. I heard one of my favorite bands from my childhood. I went to the Botanic Gardens here in Chicago, which are amazing. I had never been.
Yes, they are.
They're so cool.
It's
my
huge.
gosh.
Yeah.
I had never been, guys.
Amazing there. I love going there.
It's the best. Do you know they have an art show?
I don't think like a few.
Yeah. I want to get in one of those. I know it's going to be competitive, but I want to get in one of those.
I think it's a lot of like old people that paint flowers, isn't it?
I think so.
They do. I feel like they do different types of events like pretty regularly.
Ugh, I totally want to do an art show out there.
Could paint flowers.
Yeah, definitely.
I bet it would sell. I mean,
Totally. I think like they could handle fairies out in that crowd. I think that'd be okay with some flowers.
oh yeah, probably.
Probably. We'll see.
I think so.
We'll see. But anyway, so just getting outside, going to restaurants, trying new things, hanging out with my husband, hanging out with my friends, just things I haven't done in a really long time or had time for or money for. And that has been very good. So,
Yeah.
I mean, as hard as it's been and as frustrating and stressful as it's been, it's also been very positive. And also the money that I'm going to work for is going towards my business stuff. It's going toward a new computer. It's going toward supplies for conventions. It's going towards stock for conventions. It's going towards
Nice.
Yeah, all these things I need. Maybe a new scanner. Things that I need.
Yeah.
For my art. So it's worth it. It's hard, but it's also been kind of a wake-up call that like these things don't take care of themselves. You just have to take care of them whether you want to or not.
Yeah.
And then you'll make better art after because you'll be better cared for.
I think one of the things that's like super important, and I was talking about this with Adhan earlier, just kind of like, again, that like realization that we're both having, it's like you got to slow down, you got to take care of yourself.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of people are realizing right now, and I think the biggest thing to understand is that like it's not necessarily just on an individual level. Like this is something that's societal, and it's like this is an effect of like what's happening due to like what's happening with like our economy, things that's happening with our society. It's like right now people are in a place where it's like we have to work a lot
Mm-hmm.
just to survive right now, because that's just like the place that we're at.
Yep.
Because like it's not necessarily a thing that I think anyone needs to feel bad about, out of college and like over the age of 30, over the age of 40, over the age of 50, of being like, oh man, it's like, I can't believe I'm realizing this now. It really has a lot to do with the fact that like you're trying to survive right now.
Right.
It's a result of that, because it's like that realization that we're having right now. A lot of people who are new in college, that let's say don't come from money.
Mm-hmm.
Like there's a lot of 18-year-olds who are having a hard time finding jobs because like they also can't afford college.
Yeah.
And like it's something that we're all kind of going through.
Yeah. Yeah. It's stressful right now. Yep.
I think that's super important for creative people to acknowledge, is that like if you need to stop because you're where you just need to survive, like that's okay.
Yeah. You have to take care of yourself.
Yeah.
You just have to. Yep. I agree.
I did want to mention, because you were talking about like trying to organize the drink and draw. I was just thinking about how I feel like trying to organize a drink and draw, honestly, I feel is about as easy as trying to organize like D&D groups.
Totally.
It's like you're trying to get so many different people, so many different schedules.
I know. I think it's going to be one of those things where I'm like, this is the day. Show up if you wanna. I'm going to be there.
Yeah. Basically, I feel like that's kind of what you have to do.
I'm going to go be at this coffee shop drawing. If you want to be there, come with me.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I think, agreed. Totally agreed. And that I do have a ton, like, now that I've had my message, my PSA, I do have a ton of plans, of course, because I always do, but I do have a ton of plans for next year, including a lot of conventions. I have a bunch of art projects in my brain that I want to get out as soon as I have some time. I do want to do more. Another thing I want to get is some streaming gear, and I want to do some streaming, maybe an online drink and draw. We will see. We will see what I can manage. But, yeah, I have a lot of things in the works. It's just getting to the place where I have time to do it now.
Oh.
I'm going to try for, Dragon Con. I'm going to try for Dragon Con. Jess, right?
Yeah. I'll apply too.
Yeah. Let's try.
Hey.
Vickie,
Dragon Con.
You should try too.
Where is Dragon Con?
It's in Atlanta. They have a comic section though.
We'll have to check it out. I'm still like applying to stuff out of state right now.
Yeah, it's expensive.
Yeah.
Yep.
That's why.
Yep. It's super expensive.
It's something that you'd want to do with like a group of people so you could share costs.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
Share a room.
Yeah, share a room. Like, help each other plan meals and shit. I mean, stuff.
Yeah.
Like, let's all eat off of this one plate.
We'll split it three ways. That's hilarious. Oh, but yeah.
And sharing tables, that cuts out some cost.
Yeah.
You can half your table cost.
Yep, sharing tables is good. Driving down together is good.
Splitting gas.
Probably
Be cheaper than... Well, actually, it might be the same price as flying, but
it might
with all your stuff...
You can do it, though.
Complicated.
You can do it if you just pare down. But yeah, it's still costly. It's costly. It's expensive.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's one I'm going to try for this year. We'll see.
Yeah, I will try too. I mean, like, people hear Atlanta and think, why? But that's the busiest, it's the busiest airport in the U.S.
Oh, really?
Yes.
It is. And Dragon Con is one of the biggest fantasy-focused conventions in the United States. Fantasy and sci-fi and media.
Yeah, a lot of them, like, I don't know. The only other one I can think of, like, Gen Con really focuses on fantasy. But other than that,
it's insane. It is a crazy, crazy show. It's a big party.
Have you been?
I have been.
Oh, God dang, it's a big party. That's, like, dangerous for me.
They have, like, bands.
I'm so distracted.
They have bands come in. It's pretty amazing. They have amazing panels.
Really cool.
Yeah, I saw a Firefly panel. I saw yeah, it was really, really good. And they have a huge author track. They have a huge film track. David did film stuff down there.
Cool.
That's like so intimidating.
It's super intense, but it's really fun.
Yeah, I've only really heard good things. So that would be cool.
Yeah. They have a huge art show. It's enormous. And it's really old school, so they have a wide variety of fantasy artists, which is really cool. Yeah.
That's nice.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll see if we get in. But it's worth trying, you know?
Just need one of us to get in, right? Is that how this works?
And then the other one, like, gets sneaked in.
The other one
we just kind of, like, hitchhike in your luggage.
That's hilarious.
I mean, you don't have to be that committed. But if you want.
Oh man, that's funny. Oh wow.
I think we made it through the hour.
I'm amazed.
Man, we did.
We did.
Right on time.
We actually, this was a really cool discussion, and I actually really liked it.
Yeah.
Did anybody have anything else to say? Any goals they want to say, or any thoughts?
Blanket advice.
Yeah.
As like, I think I want artists to just like general. I think that's just something people need to do. Allow ourselves. Cut out again.
A little, yeah. So allow
Yeah,
ourselves. I wanted to hear the rest of that. So allow ourselves, which?
Just to like give yourself a break.
Yeah.
Pretty much it, you know?
Yeah.
Just like don't be too harsh on yourself, because the expectations that we think people have for us, it's really just expectations that we have for ourselves.
Yes.
That's very true. I mean, think about all the times that you say to like a family member or a friend or something, just like, I didn't do it. I didn't do enough. And they're just like, what are you talking about?
Yeah. They're like,
really
it's fine.
thing. Or like, you did this, like, relax.
Yeah.
Yep. It's true.
Like, and people do like notice. That's another thing. Like, I always just assume like no one notices what I'm doing.
Yeah.
Right? And then I was talking to someone the other day and I was like, I haven't done anything, and they were like, but you've been posting a lot of art. And I'm like, well, I'm glad you think that. That's a positive.
Oh, I totally get that.
So yeah, we're always harsher on ourselves than like anyone else is.
Mm-hmm.
True.
And that's a good thing to remember.
Yeah. Nice.
But you guys, any last send-offs for the year?
Just basically echoing a lot of the same things. Take care of yourselves. Please, please, please take care of yourselves. Just more than anything, you can't make the art if you're not here. So please take care of yourselves.
Oh, that's true.
It's very simple, actually.
Yeah, I mean.
So.
And even like.
Yeah. Yes.
My one last little thing.
Yeah,
even
dude,
if you
go.
don't feel like anyone likes your art or cares, someone does.
Yes.
And
Yes.
it's like that is like, even if you can't visibly see it, like just know that someone does care.
Yeah. Yep.
About your art. And you, but also about your art.
It's true.
Happy New Year!
Happy New Year!
Happy New Year, everybody! Wow. We got through it.
It's 2019 now.
Oh, good. It's hopefully going to be a better one. Well, on that note, you have been listening to Through Dangers Untold. Our logo was created by Karen Hodo. You can find her online at kmhododesigns.com. And you can find me at sonnettshelline.com and also on all of the social medias. At Sonnett Shelline is usually the easiest way to find me. And where can they find you?
Find me anywhere on the internet as Vicstifer.com. You can follow me and support me on Patreon at patreon.com/Victifer. Follow me on Twitter at Vicstifer, Instagram at Vicstifer, Facebook.com/Vicstifer, VIXTOPHER.
Nice. And
And
Jess?
you can find me on Instagram and Twitter at JRUBishop. That's just my initials and my last name. And yeah.
Nice.
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year,
Yeah.
everybody. And our next episode will be on January 9th, 2019. So please join us then for our next discussion. And thank you so much for listening. We really appreciate it. And we'll see you next month.
Hey!
Yay!
Bye!
Good night.